I feel sad each time I think of what Nigeria has become. Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, welcome to the news and thank you for tuning in to listen. Please subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post our juicy news update. Please click on the notification bell. Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, a professor of political science, a former Nigerian minister of foreign affairs, and an elder statesman, in this interview by Sam Nwoko speaks on a number of issues, including the state of the nation. They asked, "We understand that you desire that Ayo Olokmo should be integrated into global sports, as we have other sports that are common in global sporting events. Where did this idea come from, or what is the philosophy behind it, sir?" He replied, "There are other sports that are not indigenous to us, but which are finding their way into the Olympics basket of sports. You have, for example, figure skating, skateboarding, and so on. Even swimming is not indigenous to us. Ayo is something that is indigenous to us in Africa, and we've exported it everywhere where the black man is. That is really wild. And at least we will be able to win more gold medals than the rest of the world who have their own special sports." They said, they asked, "You are saying that since judo is indigenous to the Japanese, karate is indigenous to the Chinese, and taekwondo is indigenous to Korea, we should have Ayo Lukmo in the same class? What about dambe that is played in northern Nigeria?" He replied, "Ayo Lukmo is the one I have been fascinated since my youth. There is also Doba that is indigenous to the north and Polo too. So I am speaking about the one that I'm very familiar with." They asked, "Do you play Ayo Lokmo?" He replied, "I used to, although I am not very good at it. I can never win a game against someone who is first class at the game." They asked, "You must have been hearing things being said about the structure of the government of President Bola Tinubu. Options about the government contain that is a Yoruba government and that Tinubu's government has been Yorubanized. What is your take on this issue, sir?" He replied, "This issue was addressed by a popular columnist last Monday. He did that through statistics and showed the distribution of President Tinubu's government in terms of balancing. He came to the conclusion that so far it is a balanced government." They asked him, "Do you agree with the conclusion of the column?" He replied, "I do. You see, when you have about 48 ministers, by the time you mention about 6 to 8 as coming from a particular area, you forget because you're coming with a fixed perception. You ignore others who may just have 2 per zone and you expect those to be screaming, but they're not screaming. Your generation I've seen the best of Nigeria." They asked him, "Your generation has seen the best of Nigeria. Would you describe what we are going through now as a country as worst of times when compared to where we are coming from?" He replied, "There are people who will say that the Civil War period starting from the coup in 1966 to 1970 was the worst period. They will say that was the worst period in terms of the killings and sufferings, kwashiorkor, which was the condition of the children, and so on and so forth. Some people might say that that was the worst period. For people like me who have known what it is for Nigeria to be a nation of surplus, a nation where there are progressive measures put in place to draw the poor upwards rather than pull the rich downwards, there was an explosion of children in school rather than what we have now, an explosion of children out of school. One cannot but feel bad. This is because in terms of development, a country is supposed to make progress. It is not supposed to digress. Each time I think of what might have been in this country, I feel bad." They asked, "The latest in the thread of many developments in this country is the Japa syndrome. We are losing a lot of young people to greener pasture. What are your views about this, sir?" Well, this particular one, more. Okay. The latest in the thread of many developments in the country is Japa syndrome. We are losing a lot of young people to greener pasture. What are your views about this, sir? He replied, "This is not new. During the first coming of Buhari in 1983 to 1985, we had the same thing, although that time it was called Andrew checking out. Again, it was the best brains leaving the country, and in most cases, they never really came back. Nigeria is not a banana republic. The more you squeeze, the more the country produces. But we are using our own money to produce doctors, nurses, engineers who then go to further developed countries. Who then go to further developed countries. We need these young people to build this country. We need them as the building blocks. The figures from the United Nations for sectoral development are so bad for Nigeria. Can you imagine if all those doctors we have lost had stayed behind? And all those nurses we have lost to the Western countries had stayed behind? If they had stayed behind, the ratio of doctor to children will be far better. But I am not blaming those who are jackpying. I am not blaming them because maybe if I were their age, I would also leave. I also would leave because there is a limit to which you can ask young people to make sacrifices. They ask them what the government can do. Okay, what the government can do is to make sure measures are put in place that the new crop of doctors, the new crop of nurses don't jackpot as well, but will stay behind. But you will have to address their conditions of service because there was a time when before a medical doctor graduated, there would be a house waiting for him. They would have given him a loan to buy a car. They will make his environment so comfortable that he does not need to jackpot. But here, where you produce doctors at times who may not even find jobs, can you imagine doctors not finding jobs? It is something I don't understand. When they find a job, the pay is so poor. It's like a pittance compared to what they would earn in Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, even in England, Canada, and the United States. And so you cannot ask them not to go. I am therefore saying it not just as a question of salary. When government is evaluating policies designed to reverse the outflow of eminently qualified Nigerians, it is the totality of the package that should be looked at. He asked him, could that have been part of the things that informed the strike declared by the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC? Do you see the strike resulting in anything meaningful for the country? They asked. In reply, he said, I think we just have to wait and see. I think it is unfortunate that the strike is targeting a government that is just over 100 days old in governance. It is like punishing the wrong person for an offense committed over a period of 8 years. The timing of a strike is arguable, so we just have to wait and see. Alright, well, this man don't come as I can't talk. This man talk well, oh, he touch a many topics. But the truth is that the truth really for this matter be say, wetin this man talk, it makes sense. The reason for strike is uncalled for, while the people behind the concept of disrupted Nigeria is the brainchild of those who put us in this mess in the first instance. Surely, God is going to explode and deal with them while He's doing what He promised Nigerians through right leadership. Though may tough and rough at the onset, but light will appear at the end of our tunnel. Okay, alright, on this note, we have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for tuning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.